Hello students,
How are you?
welcome back to
Economics online class. I hope you are all safe and fine at home.
already I have completed economics lesson 1 and give the question answer also. Did you all learn? Okay, yes. So please students study well. So next today we can learn about economics unit 2 employment in
India and Tamil Nadu. So what you are going to learn in this lesson means about the structure of employment in India. It was two structure. There are three structures. That is, it was classified into three sectors. What are they? Primary, secondary, tertiary. Primary sector is also called as agricultural sector, and secondary sector is also called as industrial sector, and tertiary sector is also called as service sector. Okay. So next one, types of employment we are going to learn under this heading, types of employment, organized sector and unorganized sector. And the next one is the public sector and private sector also we are going to learn. Next one about the employment pattern, employment trends in Tamil Nadu, and at last we are going to study one case study also. So in this lesson about this, first we all know what is our basic need. So every human being need food. Food is our basic need. Not only food, cloth and shelter. But one more thing is very, very important. What is that? Do you know? At the present world, we need employment. Why we need employment? To earn money. So why we need money? In order to survive in the world, we need money, isn't it? So there is one word, man with money is hero, man without money is Zero. So money is very, very important to our life. So those who are engaged in economic activities in whatever capacity, high or low, are called employees. So people who employ these workers and pay reward for their work are called the employers. So for our basic need, what are the basic need? That is food, cloth and shelter. And same time, employment also very, very important for each and every person. So who is called as a employees? That those who are engaged in economic activities in whatever capacity, sometimes they may be high or low, are called employees. Who are called as employers? People who employ these workers and pay reward for their work are called the employers. Okay.
So next, this labor force of an economy is the number of people in the country who work and also capable of working. So this is also very important. There is one question they ask. What is labor force of the economy? What do you mean by labor force? Labor force means what? It is the number of people in the country who work and also capable of working. So you all know commonly which are the persons are capable for working. That means 15 to 60 years, isn't it? Below 15 years means they are not much capable, and also above 60 years also one person is not able to work. So who are the capable person who are working means 15 to 60 years. Okay. So what do you know about this labor force? Labor force of the economy is the number of people in the country who work and also capable of working. That person is called as a labor force. So from 15 to 60 years are called as the workers, isn't it? So person who are less than 15 years are considered as children. Okay. So there is another question: why are children and old age are not considered for computation of workforce? So you all know less than 15 years they are considered as children, and persons who are considered as cross 60 years of age are excluded as they are not physically fit to undertake productive occupation. If larger percentage of population is accounted by children and old age person, then the progress of the country would be very slow as the working force is very small. So for example, if you take one country, if there is more children and more old age means there will be working force will be small, will be less. For the people that working people will be less. So person who are less than 15 years are considered as children, and person who have crossed 60 years of age are excluded as they are not physically fit to undertake productive occupation. So if larger percentage of population is accounted by children and old age persons, then the progress of the country would be very slow as the working force is very small. So besides, the small working force will have to maintain larger non-working force for feeding out of the small national product. So if the country want to develop means what you want to need more employment opportunities, isn't it? So more workers they need. Next one is the employment structure in India. Employment structure in India. What was the structure of employment in India? So this economy is classified into 3 sectors. You all know, you have learned in the lower class also. What are the 3 sectors? That is the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So the primary sector is also called as agriculture sector, and secondary sector is also called as industrial sector, and tertiary sector is also called as service sector. Okay. So the nature of employment in India is multidimensional. What do you mean by multidimensional? That means not only one job or 2 jobs, there are many jobs are there in India. So some persons will get employment throughout the year. Some others will get employed only for few months in a year. So it will be in multi-dimensional nature. So the economy is classified into 3 sectors, that is primary or agriculture sector, secondary or industrial sector, and tertiary or service sectors. Okay. So primary sector, what are the basic productions of primary sector? Agriculture, forestry, mining, fishery. And at the same time, secondary sector, production of goods industry. And tertiary sector is also called as the service sector. So this is the employment structure. The structure of employment denotes the number of workers engaged in different sectors of economy. That means, what are the different sectors? Primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So, though the occupational pattern varies from one country to another country, it can be found in developing country like India that a large workforce will be engaged in primary sector. Mostly, like our country India, among these 3 sectors, which sector has more means the primary sector, while a small proportion in secondary and tertiary sector. Whereas in well-developed countries, the proportion of workforce engaged in agriculture will be very small, and a majority of labor force will be in the industrial and tertiary sector. Okay, so like our India, which sector will be more? In which sector more workers will be engaged? India is an agricultural country. We all know, isn't it? Agriculture is the backbone of India. So in India, the large workforce will be engaged in primary sectors, while a small proportion in other 2 sectors. Which are the other 2 sectors? That is the secondary and tertiary sectors. At the same time, in well-developed countries, how it will be? The opposite of this. That means both this secondary sector and tertiary sector, more people will be working. At the same time, in the primary sector, there will be less proportion of people will be working. Okay. Employment has always featured as an important element of development policy in India. So, in 1972 to 73, how much average rate was increased means only 2%. Okay, the employment growth has increased at an average rate of 2% during the past 4 decades since 1972 to 1973. So, once again we can recall employment in India and Tamil Nadu. So, what we have learned in this means employment structure in India, organized and unorganized sector, public sector and private sector, understanding employment pattern, and also one case study is there. So, which are the basic needs? Food, shelter and cloth. Among this, not only this, one more essential things we need, that is the employment. So, those who are engaged in economic activities in whatever capacity, high or low, are called employees. People who employ these workers or pay reward for their workers are called as employers. So, labor force of an economy is the number of people in the country who work and also capable of working. So, who are the persons are capable of working means above 15 years and below 60 years people. That persons only can work. So, persons who crossed 60 years of age are excluded and they are not physically fit. They are unable to work. So, they are excluded from the workers. So, the small working force will have to maintain larger non-working force for feeding out the smaller national product. At the same time, next one is the employment structure in India. So, the economy is classified into 3 sectors, isn't it? Which are the 3 sectors? That is the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So, what is the another name for this primary sector? Primary sector is also called as agricultural sector, and secondary sector is also called as industrial sector, and the tertiary sector is also called as service sector. So, whether all will get all the opportunity, all employment? No. So, this nature of employment in India is a multi-dimensional in nature. How it is a multi-dimensional means some will get employment throughout the year. So, some persons will get 1 month or few years or 2 years like that, isn't it? So, it is considered as a multi-dimensional nature. Next one, the structure of employment denotes the number of workers engaged in different sectors of the economy. Different sectors means primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Here, this occupational pattern varies from one country to another country. Okay. Some country, this occupation will be a primary only. Some country it will be secondary, or some country it will be tertiary. So, according to our country, India, large number of workers we can see in the primary sectors only, compared to secondary and tertiary sector. But in other country, large number of workers are engaged in tertiary sector and secondary sector. It will be less in the primary sector. Okay. So, workforce engaged in agriculture will be very small, and majority of labor force will be in the industrial and tertiary sector. So, employment has always featured as an important element of development policy in India. So, sometimes they may ask one word question, which is the important element of development policy in India? That is the employment. So, if one person is an employed only, they can earn money. They will be well in their life. So, employment growth has increased at an average rate of only 2% during the past 4 decades, since 1972 to 1973. So, in the medieval period, Feroz Shah Tughlaq, he only set up a employment bureau to solve the unemployment problem. So, he was the Sultan of Delhi. Feroz Shah Tughlaq, the Sultan of Delhi only set up an employment bureau For what purpose he has set up this employment bureau means to solve the unemployment problem. Okay, so remaining portions you can see in the next class. Next I will give only 3 small questions that only you want to study and write. Yes, I'll take page number 298. I'll take page number 298. There, Roman number 4, give short answers. So only 3 questions I am going to give. Please study thoroughly, okay? What is labor force of the economy? That is page number 293. Page number 293. Under the heading Introduction, second para, labor force of an economy is the number of people in the country who work and also capable of working. That's all, isn't it? So what is labor force of the economy? What is labor force of the economy? This page number 293. Under the heading Introduction, second para, labor force of the economy is the number of people in the country who work and also capable of working. Okay. Next, second question. Why are children and old age above 60 years are not considered for computation of workforce? That also page number 293. Now you mark, isn't it? Under the heading Introduction, second para. Fifth line. Persons who are less than 15 years are considered as children, and persons who have crossed 60 years, that is above 60 years of age, are excluded as they are not physically fit to undertake productive occupation. If larger percentage of population is accounted by children and old age persons, then the progress of the country would be very slow, as the working force is very small. It will be less. Okay, so that is second question. Third question, what are the 3 sectors of an economy? What are the 3 sectors of the economy? This page number 293 under the heading Employment Structure in India, second para. The economy is classified into 3 sectors: primary or agriculture sector, secondary or industrial sector, and tertiary or service sector. So this 3 question only study portion. So please students study well and write and see also in your long note. Thank you students.